So if you look out in the Game Design 2 folder, in the GM tutorial adding depth, the one we're looking at is this one, the parallel example. So I'd like you to copy that and put that into your 2 grade folder. Or not your 2 grade folder, but your H drive. Okay? So copy it from there and put it in your H drive, because we're going to start editing it today.
Parallel?
Parallel, yeah. Not parallax, but parallel. Let's just take a look at it quickly. Here you have, if you look at the room, you see that the grid is, like I said, it's wider than it is tall. You have a little person, you have trees, you have a wall around the thing. And here's the player object. Makai, would you mind closing that door when you come back? It's kind of loud. Thanks. Okay, so there's the execute code. Look at the end step event. Here we're setting the depth to specific position. Here's our tree. And just basic movement commands. So nothing special there. The cool part is to be able to walk behind the trees. So let's take a look at that. Okay, here's my little Legend of Zelda. Imagine you're on the NES, your screen's really dinky. You walk around, and you can walk behind trees and in front of trees. See that?
Can you go through trees?
No, because that would make sense. There's a big trunk in the way. Okay. So the question is, how do I simulate that behavior? It seems pretty complicated, right? Walking around a tree. So we're going to learn how to do that today. But instead of these lame-o sprites, we're going to use Zelda sprites. You have to tell me which Zelda game it is. I don't know.
Not 3D.
Yeah. So this time we're using the sprites from Legend of Zelda. Okay, so here's Link. He's running around. He's got his little sword. I can walk in front of the tree, and I can walk behind the tree. So again, you're trying to simulate 3D in a 2D environment. How do you go about doing this? Even more complicated. Say you have an archway you want to go through. See that? How do you do that? That's tough. Okay, so I want to show you how to do that today. So if you could get the parallel game up, and then I want you to, I'll show you how to cut out a Link sprite. Yeah, Regina's, what's up? Question? Okay. Let me finish here, and then I'll come back and do that. So how do you make that behavior work? Use depth, but then you also have to set up invisible walls in certain places, so you can't walk through posts like this post here. How do you stop it from walking? Okay. Okay. So I'd like you to get the parallel game up. We're going to load in some of the sprites. I'll show you how to do that. So first of all, you're going to need the tile set, which is out in the shared folder. So if you go into backgrounds and say create background, you want to load out in Game Design 2, there's a folder called Zelda. That's the one you want to grab, okay? And it's this one here, actually. Just this one here. The other one is all the links, or the link sprites. So here's all the Zelda ones. And when you load it, then it's going to look like this. And you'll click this to say use this tile set. Set the tile width to 16, and then you have a nice picture of all the different pieces you need to create levels for your Zelda game. You've got dirt, you've got trees, you've got grass, stuff like that. You can make your levels look pretty interesting with all these types of sprites. Castles, I think there's a castle in here. Where is that? No, I don't have the power-ups. I probably should. I need to find some more sprites, or maybe you guys can find them. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, I thought I did. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to use my sprites. They just have to be school appropriate, you know. Yeah. Okay, so here's our sprite page, or our tile set page. And we're going to create a new room. So, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I thought I did. Oh, not yet. Okay, right now I have 2 rooms, but we're going to create a new room here. And we'll set our background color. We'd like to do the green that matches up with the game. Of course, I don't know what that is, but we'll go with maybe this color. That's going to be our default background color. It's probably not right, though. Here's our other room. That's the green we want there. Yeah, I'd have to pull that out and kind of analyze it. So we'll go with this. It's a little dark, but that's okay. So now you can drag tiles onto the surface and make them look nice. For example, say we want to put on that tree. See this tree here? But you have to be careful because you need to have 2 different tile layers. And the higher the number, the later it gets, or the earlier it gets drawn. So you want the stuff in the back to be drawn first, and then the stuff in the front to be drawn last, so that you'll see them and see that they're not behind them. If I put in my sprite here, so I'm just putting the tree in. Yeah, talk about tedious. Yeah. Yeah, sure. And then, yeah. You might ask Nick and Regina as well. Nick is in the back, and he's able to help when I'm talking. So, Regina, yeah. So there's Nick back behind you. He can probably help you because he's taking it, and so Ryan as well. Could you give Regina a hand? Yeah, thanks. Sorry, it's going to be a while until I get back to Game Design 1, so I don't want to just sitting there. Okay, so slowly put in this tree, and let's see if we can make this work. And let's put Link in there. And you can use the character that came with the parallel game, but if I play this now, you'll see that I get the right room up. Hang on. So if you play this now, here's Link, and I can walk over the entire tree, okay? Not great. So how do you make it so that when I'm in front of the trunk, I walk in front, but when I'm behind, make it go behind the tree? How do we get that behavior? Well, first of all, you need to do your tiles in layers. This first layer at 1,000 or 100,000. Is that 100,000? That's a million, I guess. Big number, okay? We want to create another layer. But first I'm going to wipe out these layers. I'm just holding down the right click button and getting rid of that layer of tiles. And we're going to add a new layer. We're going to say negative 1,000. Because in this case, we want the top of the tree to be drawn in front of the Link character. So now we're in the negative 1,000 layer. And we go back in here, and we put in the back of the tree, or the top of the tree, I guess. So you got to pay attention to which layer you're adding these things on. There's really not a lot of indication which tiles are in which layer. I'll show you how to figure that out, but it's not very clear. So I'm putting all these tiles on the negative 1,000 layer. If I hover over those, if you see that there's an ID down in the bottom, down here, see when I hover over there, you see the ID for the tile. But you don't see the ID for this one. That tells you that those tiles are active on this layer. So even though it looks like one tree, it's actually two pieces, two layers of tiles. If I say go, okay, so see, he can walk behind the tree now, which is neat. Problem is I can walk through the trunk. That's not so good, right? So how do you stop it from doing that? Well, this is where we have to use our walls. Now, if you look at my wall object, let's look at the wall sprite. You'll see it's just a gray block. I think I changed the opacity of it a little bit so that I could see it. Notice it's not visible. But what I want to do is put a wall where I don't want Link to be able to walk. So the wall is solid but invisible. And then I can go here in the room, get the right room. And I'm going to put a wall. So I'll choose the wall here in Objects. I'm going to put the wall right here in these 4 squares. So Link won't be able to walk anywhere in these 4 squares. And let's see how that looks. Okay, so I stop right there. The wall won't let me go through. That makes sense. Hitting the trunk still. Hitting the trunk. Now I can walk back. So now, even though you have a two-dimensional plane in front of you, you're simulating 3D in that two-dimensional environment. So here's another good example of how to do that. Let's do one more. Well, I guess that's good. I want to show you then how to create the Link character, because that's kind of missing. So say I want a Link character. He's carrying his shield, I think, right?
Yeah.
So one of the big points in the game is you go and find the shield, because that really helps. So there's versions of Link that have a shield, or a shield and a sword, or without either one. I'm going to try to create one that doesn't have the shield on it, I guess. So I say this. I say create sprite. I might call it sprite player down no shield. Maybe I'll call it that. It's kind of long. But we don't have a sprite that's been cut out of a sprite sheet yet. We have to go and cut it out. So what I said was click on Edit Sprite, and then I go here to File and say Create from Strip. That's the one you want. And we want to load this PNG file. Once we load it, you see, here's all our link sprites. Look at all these crazy sprites. Tons of link sprites. So I'm looking for one where he's walking down towards us without his sword. Let's see if I have that anywhere. It looks like this first one. See how his feet are kind of moving? So we want to grab those from the sprite sheet. How many images are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we say 13 images. How many images per row? 13. See how it breaks it up for us. What's the image width? Let's try 16. 16 is too skinny. Try 20. 20 is not wide enough. So you have to play this game trying to figure out what's a good width for these.
30.
Is it 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 looks pretty good. So maybe it's a square sprite. Maybe it's 30 by 30. Are we still getting the top of the next one?
28 is kind of legit.
28?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with that one. So 13 images, images per row. There's only one row. 30 by 28. And there's no offsets here. And so that'll create our sprite page. Now I forgot to say, let me try this once again. I forgot to say remove background. I guess you can't say it here. We said 30 by 28. Okay, so we're going to have to erase this color manually. So you go into Images and Erase a Color. And the color we want to erase is the blue image or the blue background. And we'll say OK. And now we have a link that's can be placed on any background, and the background will show through the block. Okay.
With the order, sorry.
Yeah, so you go to Images,
Oh, images.
Erase a Color.
Oh, I see.
Now, when you erase a color, the industry standard is they show you a checkerboard background, so you can tell that there's nothing there. If they just put white there, you wouldn't know that it was the transparent color. So when they put the checkerboard there, and you see this sometimes in games when it glitches out and you get this checkerboard on one of the images, like World of Warcraft, things like that. So every once in a while you see this checkerboard.
Like missing.
Yeah, missing a sprite or a skin.
Oh.
Okay. So that's pretty much an industry standard. So we're going to save that. And now we have the sprite that looks like he's walking. His hair moves, a little bit more life, and his eyes blink. It's really simple to make a game look really alive. It's just have the character blink every once in a while. It makes him look like he's alive. Okay, so now we have this nice character for walking down when we don't have the sword, right? And then here in the player object, here's down. Say I don't have the sword yet, so maybe I'm doing this one here. Well, this link looks a little newer than that one, doesn't it? So play the game now and see what it looks like. Okay, so here's Link. Oh, I don't have him centered right.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little bit better Link, I think. So the ones I had were kind of old. It's a little bit brighter. So how was the original one set? Let's look. Yeah, it's 10 and 22 as the origin. So let's do that on this sprite. 10 and 22. Go. So here's Link. So you would cut out the other sprites for the other directions in the game. Pretty slick. Okay. So your job is to create maybe the first level of a Zelda game. I would do kind of a village setup. Maybe there's a store where you can buy inventory. Maybe there's an NPC Link interacts with, has a little conversation with. And maybe there's a monster you have to run away from. I don't know. Okay, something like that. Doesn't have to be super fancy. I just want to show you how you create this type of game and go through a little bit of the level design, how to lay out the tiles so that you get Link to walk behind things correctly. If you look at my first room, let's move that up. So you see how much detail there is on here. These are all from the sprite page. They have these little tunnels here, these like hollowed out logs, and you could make that the place where you transfer to the next room. And maybe you slide it in from the right so it looks like you're going there. Something like that. In this room, room 2, so what I was thinking is I would put a wooden wall around the whole level to keep Link in the level. Say I have this skeleton you have to walk over. I can go underneath the bridge. Say you hit the sign, you could read the sign. Put a collision event with the sign, it would tell you some things that, hey, here's this quest, do you want to go? Whatever. And then around the outside, put a wall so that Link can't go outside the room. Something like that. But you got a lot of cool sprites to work with. Doesn't take a lot of brain power, but you do kind of get to design a nice level for this Zelda game. And then if you want to continue this on, later over the break and make your own little Zelda game, that's something you can do. Yeah.
So the one we got from you has like a Zelda sprite, it's not even Zelda.
Yeah, so you want to just replace that. Yeah, replace it with the, I showed you how to cut that sprite sheet out. So do it like that. And
how many levels?
just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
And then turn it in?
Yeah, just turn it in when you got the level done. Try to some detail in the level. Like I said, some kind of an NPC. Maybe you buy stuff, so you'll need an inventory. You need a sword and a shield, maybe, so you can go buy it. Maybe you find some gold. I don't know. All right. I know I'm not being very specific here, but the point is, how do you write a game like this? And there's a lot you have to think about. Yeah. 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 Here you have to grab the pass, and then you can go.
So is the Zelda game is in our folder?
The Zelda sheet is out there. You just start with the parallel game and modify it and make it into the Zelda game. Yeah. So all the, yeah.
When I come back, can you help me with the?
So that's game design 2, Legend of Zelda. I'll try to find some more Zelda sprites. Be nice to get Zelda in there maybe, or some monsters or something. I don't know. Does anyone recognize this Link sprite and which game it comes from? What's it called? Oh, Miniscape?
Minish Cap.
Minish Cap. Okay, so that's where it comes from. I'll try to find sprites from that.